Welcome to Tuesday.
It's Tuesday.
It's Tuesday, and I love Tuesdays. Tuesdays are the best. We always get to come on and talk with all of our viewers.
Right, well, we always have amazing guests. They always have something new to say. It makes my mind think. It's dangerous, I know, but it happens.
It happens, and but once you get going, though, you're pretty quick, It's like snap, snap, snap.
And then after, I wind down and repeat everything in my head. Oh, wow, like last week's.
Oh, I know.
I read the book.
Did you? What'd you think?
Wow.
I know.
So many questions. I'm like, but what about this? But what about this? And you're right. As I was reading it, I could see a movie coming out of this. Huh? I'm like, oh my gosh, I could totally see a movie out of this, even though it's like 57 pages.
Yeah, totally, it's not very long at all.
Right, and I'm really excited to see what's in her next book. Because really, hopefully it goes into more detail of her actual sightings. Not just, this happens and this happens. That kind of made me feel better about the possibility. Well, I know there's aliens. I'm not going to say there's not, because I know there are. But the possibility of them actually coming and visiting reoccurringly, and me not freaking out so much about it. Like, I can go to the next layer of the onion, like we talked about. I can go to the next layer and think more deeply about it without freaking out.
Yeah. Well, that's good, because you never know. You never know when someone, an alien is going to show up on your doorstep.
Or, walk through or peek out from behind your brother's bed and be like, oh, I'm just here to observe, sorry.
Oh, well, that's good enough reason not to spend the night at your brother's.
That's right.
I don't know. Yeah, that was interesting. Anna's a interesting lady.
She's, if you missed it last week, it's the Martin family, their secret legacy. Something to that effect. I think that's what it's called. Anyway, it's a really simple book done by Anna Martin and
I think it's Michelle Fisher.
And Michelle
right?
Fisher, yeah, I was going to say,
they were co-authors.
Michelle Fisher. It's a really good book.
It is.
People need to look into it. It leaves a lot of questions and a lot of what the heck, but it's a really good book.
Well, you hear all about people who are like, I was impregnated, and then I went on this ship, and I saw an embryo, and I know it was mine, but you don't ever hear about, it is our legacy. We have alien DNA, so that's an interesting thing. I mean, not that she did say she didn't believe it, but it was an interesting thought, which it completely is.
Yeah. It's more of a, if it is, it is. There's nothing I can do. Right, and she just, coming from possible alien, or what we call alien, DNA, is, I guess that's where she gets that calmness from.
Well, you'd have to be calm. I mean, seriously, or else she'd be in a loony bin.
That's true.
You're like, they're coming for me, and everybody would be like, yeah, okay, where's the white padded room?
Right. Well, yeah, because, and there's a lot of things that she said she didn't remember, but then all of a sudden she's like, oh, crap, that was real. That really happened.
Yeah, something just kind of triggered her memory. Right,
and that just, it was interesting.
It was, and it was awesome to have her on. Hopefully we can get her on when she's done with her next book.
I could talk to her more and more and more. I want more details. I want more in-depth. We could talk to her for hours. She was easy to talk to. But let's go back a few more guests.
Okay.
We had Grant Wilson. The dwarf miner stuff.
Did you get
coming?
yours?
It's coming.
Oh, man.
It's being sent out. I got one of my little dwarf miner updates. Actually, the game should be coming out before. Most of the games should be coming out before, like, the posters and stuff. And you got the game.
I got both of them, yeah.
And I got the limited edition one. Poster thingy.
Okay. Yeah, you did. You got one of the reprints of the character, right?
I don't know, I said one of a kind.
So I think you got one of the reprints.
So one of the reprints of his original artwork.
So it's like the stages of it.
Yeah, that's what I got. And then, but the games they said should be coming out. They were thinking after, but they might be coming out before. So you might get your game soon.
I hope so. My kids are like, where's the game? Where's the game? Well, it's coming.
It's on its way. For anybody who contributed it, it's on its way.
It is on its way. Well, that's exciting. Thanks for reminding me, because I have been thinking about that.
Oh man, I'm like, August, come.
I know. Well, it was supposed to be a little bit early, but, maybe they had a few things.
Right. Well, they were saying that the games are now officially going to be earlier. They're going to be sent out before. For some, not all.
I see.
$40,000
I hope I'm one of the some.
Donations. Yeah. Me too. I'm excited to see it.
But we are kind of far away, so.
It's July.
I know.
End of July.
But we're clear over here in Utah.
Oh, that's right. It gets done in New Jersey, huh?
I don't know. Somewhere back over there,
whatever.
I would imagine. In the U.S. of A., apparently.
It's all done in the U.S. of A. So, woo!
That I do know.
That's exciting.
Right.
So, yeah, I thought I'd throw a little happiness in our...
Yeah, that is good.
Right, get a little something.
Yeah.
Something. So, Miss Cammie,
yes.
Who is our guest today?
Well, I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay. I know who it is. Give them a hint.
I am. Look.
I'm waiting. Oh, okay. Ohio State Reformatory Historical Site, Mansfield, Ohio.
Yes.
That's what her shirt says.
That's what it says if you can't see it. And that place is phenomenal.
I thought for sure it was a plastic surgeon.
You thought it was a plastic surgeon?
Yeah.
What?
You showing me your boobs?
Oh. I got new boobs!
No.
Not this time. Nope. Not this time. Thank you, Kim, for that. Appreciate it. Can't keep anything a secret.
Tax.
Next year.
Next year's tax.
Moving right along. Anyways, this place, awesome, amazing place. It was a prison, Cassie.
Yes.
A prison. And guess what? Even is more cooler than that. It's haunted.
Well, that goes well together.
Mm-hmm.
Old prison, haunted.
Yeah. And if you can't picture it, I'm sure everybody has seen the movie The Shawshank Redemption.
Right.
It's where that was filmed.
It's sad.
What?
It's sad.
It's sad, but the building's phenomenal.
Right.
And
it's usually why we watch movies anyway.
Yeah. Well, it was just the building. But it was really cool. I mean, to be there was like... I can't even explain it. And then I heard that it was going to be demolished willingly. Like, people were choosing to demolish this beautiful building. And I was like, I would probably thrown up a little if that would have happened, because it is amazing.
What made him change your mind?
Well, I don't know. I'm pretty sure we should ask our guest.
Right.
I was just too stuck on what they were thinking of doing.
I'm automatically putting people in my head. Who do we call?
I know. Because, wow, I was just really, really surprised.
Who do we make fix this?
I know. We have to... Can't let that happen.
No.
Can't let it happen.
Nope.
So we have... our guest.
Yeah.
He's going to tell us all about that. They do ghost hunts out of that. They have numerous events. They have tours during the day. You can buy stuff like shirts. Shirts. Pictures. I mean, there's so much stuff there. Cards. Playing cards.
A piece of its history.
Yeah.
Just by being there.
Yes. And it was just unbelievable just looking at it all. I can't even... The scale of the place. And then thinking about how many people... Yeah. How many people live there. How many people may have died there? How many people...
Willingly, unwillingly, purposefully...
Yeah, there was murders.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
I know. It's a prison.
So
we're gonna
get shanked in the hall.
I know, like on Shawshank. I wonder where they came up with that name. Anyways, food for thought. But we're gonna move on, and we're gonna bring Scott into this conversation because there's so many questions we're kind of throwing out. We're gonna get some answers and see some of the evidence, some of the EVPs that they've gotten there.
Right. Well, and anybody in chat, if you have any questions or anything, Kim is manning the chat tonight. So go ahead and throw your questions out there, and then we'll get to them as they come up or as soon as we can.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So help us welcome Scott. Scott, welcome to Worldwide Paranormal Network.
Hey, Scott.
Oh, hey, thanks for having me on. How are you ladies doing tonight?
Fabulous, thank you.
Fabulous. We are so excited to talk with you. Like we were saying, there's so many questions that we have, and I'm sure you've got some answers for us. But we're going to...
if I don't know, I'll make something up. So,
That works too. He rolls. I like it.
You have to, when you're doing interviews and everything like that, you have to be like, well, let me
Don't
tell
take
you.
my word for it, but.
Or you could leave out the don't take my word for it part and then just be like, I know.
And then your next cohort tour, people are like, I heard this. You could be like, wow, that got around fast.
I know, because that's the only thing that would get around is the non-truth.
Right.
Don't even get me started on the folklore and how this stuff started. I am still 16 years trying to dispel some of the myths about the building.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, we're going to set them all straight.
I like that. So let's start back at the beginning. What made you interested in being part of the reformatory and, the paranormal aspect as well?
Oh, man, let me see. I actually started investigating back in 1993, back when it was all taboo and we're all Satanists and occultists and all that stuff.
Yeah.
The group that I was affiliated with at the time heard that the building was no longer in the state's hands, that it was privately owned.
Mm-hmm.
So they contacted the Preservation Society, and we pretty much said, hey, we want to take a tour of the place. And they said, all right, well, what day do you want to do it? And we told them we want to do it at night.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, well, there's no electricity in there. There's no nothing in there. And we're like, yeah, that's exactly what we want. And then we explained to them what we wanted to do, what our goal was. So they just thought we were, Satanists and occultists. And they allowed us in.
They thought you were a Satanist and occultist, and they allowed you in.
Sure, why not? But pretty much,
I like it.
Pretty much at the end of the investigation, we threw them like $100.
Uh-huh.
And at that time, it was pretty rough for them raising funds.
Right.
So they said, hey, do you think there's other idiots? Other people that would be interested in coming to the building and walking around, in the middle of the night? Well, like I said, this was back before it was all pop culture and everything,
Right.
so we weren't really sure. So we helped them set up, the first investigation, the first, paid ghost hunt, and that took place in March of 1998. And
It's taken off from there, huh? You can't even turn people. You have to turn people away, I'm sure.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
Like at the beginning, it was like maybe the first year, I think we had like 2 or 3 hunts, and now we are with the public ghost hunts and the private ones. We teeter right at about 100 a year.
Wow.
Right.
So, yeah.
And that's just the public and the private investigations. That's not including any events and things that you have going on there, right?
Oh, correct. Pretty much from April to beginning of September, we have day tours 7 days a week. We have everything from car shows there to, we used to have a bridal show there. We have events all the time. I figured it out one day, and at this time during the season, the building only sits empty for about 2 to 3 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that's great, though. Especially like we were saying earlier when we first started is, buildings like that, sometimes they get torn down, and I know that it was going to be torn down. So why did somebody just come in, swoop it up, buy it, and say, no, we're not going to let you do that?
Well, pretty much what happened is the state knew they were going to shut the building down, and they were just going to completely tear everything down and put the new prison, which is now actually in our backyard, where our building is now. So that was, let me see, they shut the place down in 1990, and it took a couple years for them to actually start tearing it down. But in 1992, the Mansfield Reformatory Preservation Society was formed, and just through, begging and, stuff like that, the state finally, in 1995, 5 decided to, hand over the keys to the building.
They just handed the keys over.
Yep, pretty much we bought it for $1.
Wow!
So,
That's
yeah.
fascinating. The upkeep has got to be, a lot more than that, but...
I don't even want to go there because that'll make me, dizzy.
Right.
Completely dizzy.
But that's neat that the state is just like, here, we're going to lose this battle, so just go ahead and take it, keep it up, and do what you need to do with it.
Well, I'm sure it would have costed them an arm and a leg to tear it down anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah. They actually started tearing the building down before we got it. See, after Shawshank Redemption was filmed there, they tore down our wall. They tore down all the buildings that were in back.
Mm-hmm.
But we were lucky enough to save the main structure.
Yeah. So when was it built?
The cornerstone was laid in 1886, and it was opened up in 1896. So it took 10 years to get it to the point where it was operational. But that wasn't, the end of the construction, because on opening day, they didn't even have the east cell block yet.
Oh, geez.
That took an additional, took about an additional 10 years to get the east cell block done and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and I love buildings like that because you cannot make them anymore.
No.
Unless you're going to spend, billions of dollars, because it is all stone.
Right.
It is
Stone and
beautiful.
brick and blood, sweat, and tears.
It is
Not let's just flip it,
Phenomenal.
put it up, get a profit, and go.
Yeah. I mean, the materials alone are just
Oh, yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So you don't see prisons like that anymore, and it's just beautiful. It's like a fort something.
Oh, exactly. Well, the architect, Levi Schofield, he, pretty much what he did is he modeled it after medieval castles and churches and stuff like that, because he wanted just the very sight of the building to uplift the inmate spirits.
Mm.
Oh.
Yeah, see, that really didn't work well because it looks a lot more like Dracula's castle. So,
I would be uplifted.
I know. I
Dracula's
felt
castle.
right at home.
It'd
I'm
be
like, I could live here.
Give me
you know?
candelabra, some
It
velvet
was
drapes.
just beautiful, and you should see the size of the shower. Woo! Bathrooms, for those of you who love the bathrooms, you can't beat it.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't see. I've looked at the pictures because I didn't get to go to Ohio, but I don't think I've seen a picture of a shower.
It probably would have taken me a good 30 seconds at least to run from one end to the next.
No.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's a group shower since it's a prison.
Yes, but what's the difference if it's yours?
That's right. I dream of showers like that. Stick the bathtub in the middle and then a whole bunch of shower heads everywhere.
It could just overflow you when you wouldn't have to worry about it because
That's
there
my
was
point.
the ground, it's not going to ruin it, and it's just
Right.
got the drain right there down the center of it. It's gorgeous.
Ginormous.
But there were some that were, secluded in little, cell areas.
Mm.
That's for those who couldn't get along.
Well.
yeah, the showers that were in the cells, those were actually for the inmates who had to be separated from general population for one reason or another.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it could have been, anything from solitary confinement inmates to inmates that decided to live as women. For a long time there, they tried to keep them separated from general population because, hijinks would ensue if they were in general population.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, did you say, hold on, I don't know if I heard that last part right. Did you say that they had to be, out of general population because some tried to live like women?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I'm just, or does that mean they're the catcher in the relationship? Or, trying to live as women?
Or they were really feeling they were women.
They would dress as women. They would put on makeup like women. I was actually just talking to an inmate that was there in, the mid-1980s, and said that there was this one inmate down in the East Cell Block on the first tier that if somebody did not tell you yeah, I would have gone after that all day long.
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
you know, you've seen people, like, we know some
Right,
men that
right.
are beautiful women.
I have family.
Yeah, I mean, seriously.
Right, but I had to make sure I caught that right. Because, I mean, you don't...
Well, it would happen, and God,
It
wouldn't it be a
happens.
woman's dream?
Right.
Look at all these men and any of them to choose from.
That's right. That's right. I just had to make sure I heard that right, because in prison, I mean, you can get killed
Mm-hmm.
for doing that. You know, it's so it's probably good that they were in solitary.
or it is one way not to get killed.
Or it is one way not to get killed. That's very true.
Yeah, someone takes a liking to you that's, you know,
Right, you're
a bigger...
bitch.
Because
Yeah, then you're not being touched by nobody.
Right.
You're,
Yeah,
you're
I
good.
just I'm glad you said that, because that doesn't really... I don't know of anybody else that would have said that.
Well, if you go to prison, be a woman. And a gorgeous, sexy one at that.
Right.
Do your best. Have everyone send you makeup.
That's right. Makeup and hairbrushes. That's right. I'm okay. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just
No,
had to go
you have to
through
get that clear,
I had
you
to
know?
make sure I heard that right. You know, my ears are playing kind of funny on me today. And I'm hold on now. What?
Well, one thing that also stood out to me is showering people in solitary confinement. To me, I wouldn't think they would do that. I mean, seriously?
Well, if you look like a woman and you walk
No, but
like a man.
anybody. You know, not just the
Right.
woman, the women men.
Well, a lot of things, the women, a lot of things go down in the showers. I mean, I had some family friends, we won't name names, just to save your reputation, that have been...
But you know who you
know
are.
who you are, wink, wink, that have been in prison and in jail and stuff like that. And showers are, you know, you slip the guard at 20, he doesn't look. And bad things happen.
yeah.
And that's where drop the soap comes in.
That's awful.
It is awful, but that's it's
You'd have
showering
to
is-
pay me a
that
lot
makes
more than
complete-
$20 to turn my head the other direction. I'm just saying.
Well,
What
yeah.
cheapo guards anyway? Jeez.
Well, you know, do things for a buck. They don't get paid very much, so.
Well, and there's a ton of stories like this. I mean, just atrocities that happen all the time in prisons,
Right.
you know. And then this one, like you said, it was built back in the 1800s, so it was old school prison,
Right.
you know. So,
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the same stuff goes on now, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah.
evolved.
It's evolved. That's how I know what happens in the shower when you slip the guard at 20. People get
Right.
seriously beat down, and bad things happen to people who don't want things to happen.
I'm sure nobody wants things to happen.
Possibly.
Okay, so we want to hear about a really
Kim's
awesome
uploading
story.
the shower.
Are you loading the shower? Good for
Yeah,
you.
the shower's locked.
Somebody
Yeah.
that was there. Sorry about that.
Well, he
So
was
it-
saying
yeah.
that she was gorgeous.
She was, yeah.
The woman man.
Would never know that
Yeah.
it was a man. So tell us something. Tell us one of your favorite all-time stories that you know that happened there, or the one that sticks out the
Boy.
most.
Man, there's a lot of them. See, there were there's a bunch of good, funny stories that I have heard from inmates that lived there.
Mm-hmm.
That same inmate was also telling me that during his time there, he had a bunch of cellies, guys who shared a cell with him.
Mm-hmm.
And he said there was just, you know, mind you, this guy is like a, I'm not going to say he's a small guy. He just looks pretty frail.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of them skinny little guys.
Mm-hmm.
And he said one day they open up his door, and this just immense black guy is put into his cell as a cellie.
That would be
So
frightening.
He's automatically thinking, okay, I'm going to be a victim here.
Right.
Just because
That's
this
what I
guy
would
is
think,
so
too.
immense and mean looking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after a couple days, he said that this guy turns out to be one of the funniest guys he's ever met.
Right.
Aw, see? Don't judge a book by its cover.
That's right.
Always.
But anybody bigger and scarier than me?
Well, I would be concerned.
Right.
If they're bigger and scarier than you are, you definitely want to be,
that means they could
wary
have
at least.
committed a bigger and scarier crime. I mean, little people have pack power, pack a punch, but...
He was telling me that this guy would in the middle of the night, like, yell out to the rest of the cell block that, oh, I'm gonna, just do, I'm trying to figure out how to paraphrase.
We don't have any bleeping system here, so you're okay.
Well, he would use colorful language and talk about how he was going to, beat every, how should I put this, non-white person in the cell block in the morning.
Oh.
And he would just go on and on and on, and he said you would just hear everybody from all the other cells, yelling down, because from what this inmate was saying, this guy, even though he was a monster, he said, I wouldn't be surprised if he spoke perfect, like, King's English, like old English. He was that,
He's that educated.
And,
He just seemed educated?
Very educated.
Very educated.
So, do they, I don't know what goes on in these prisons, but do they sit there and ask each other, like, about their lives? Like, hey, so what's your background? I mean, as girls, we would,
Well, you and I would.
But-
We'd probably get smacked upside the head for being, wanting to know their business, but...
I don't know, because after you bond, is there bonding in prison with men? Not of the,
None of the drop the soap type.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, I honestly think that the only thing I can equate it to is almost like a chat room.
Huh.
You are who you say you are when you're in prison. Because you know how many inmates I have walked through that building and they were in there for murder, they were in there for burglary, they're in there for carjacking, stuff like that. But I have never talked to one inmate that said, oh yeah, I was in there for rape.
Huh.
Well, yeah, that's even true today. You don't say what you're in there for if you're in there for rape.
Exactly.
Because you will
Or
get a beat
things with
down.
kids.
Yeah, anything to do with kids or
So
that
that's
makes sense.
fascinating,
That's
though.
interesting that even back then it was like that.
Probably. I mean, why do you think that is, Scott? Do you think that's because a lot of them had that happen, or what?
I think it has a lot to do with there's like a hierarchy in the prison system.
Right.
Pretty much like the murderers and stuff. They'll get the most respect just for the simple fact of they already killed somebody
Right.
and they have no problem killing you too. The thieves, you know what? You just sort of got to watch your back with them. But it's like the rapists and the pedophiles are like the bottom of the barrel.
Yep, it is like they get no respect.
Okay.
And I mean,
That makes sense.
Inside any prison, it's still a society. So I mean, I would rather be at the top of the top of the food chain than the bottom of the food chain.
Right.
But I know of inmates who were sentenced to that building for, rape and stuff like that. And I have been told by numerous other inmates, oh yeah, they didn't have a good time when they were there.
Yeah. Well, talking about how I know what happens now, compared to I didn't realize it was like that back then, but now, seriously, if it gets out that you're a pedophile, you better watch your back. If you're not away from public, from all, I can't think what it is. Anyway, if you're in solitary confinement, you're okay. But as soon as they find out what you are and you're in general population, I had a friend that went to jail and they found out he was a pedophile. Beat the hell out of him to an inch of his life with a mop stick. Seriously, bust it in half. It's bad. So it's like the worst crime for criminals. You don't do that. You just don't. Murder.
If you go to prison, you better hope you killed somebody.
Right, and for good reason, because you can't just kill somebody just because either. But
One thing that people are also really surprised about is if you are like a celebrity or something like that, or your crime hits the front page and all that stuff. You're pretty much put in protective custody.
right,
Just for the simple fact of, like I said, there's a prison society. You have to earn respect somehow as an inmate. The guy
Right.
who killed Jeffrey Dahmer, you know what? Nobody knows his name, but in the prison system, he will always be known as the guy who killed Jeffrey Dahmer.
right.
So that's how they earn their respect.
Yep, the
So-
number system. The older the number you are, the higher respect you get. Because once you're a criminal, you stay, your number sticks with you forever. And you
Yep.
go back. If you commit a crime later, you go back. And all these newbies will be like, oh, bow to you because you've been in here. You're an inmate from a long time ago.
Huh. That's fascinating.
It's interesting.
Oh, yeah.
It's more fascinating that Kathy
Oh, yeah.
knows all that stuff.
Yeah, it shouldn't surprise me anymore. It's like, well, yeah, she has friends.
She's a little thug.
She's- she grew up on the
Just
wrong end of
innocence.
town.
She's got the thug life.
That's really glad. Well, no,
Well, but that makes so much sense, though. I mean, theories that we have in paranormal investigating and
Right.
stuff, where things that happen that are horrible, that have a lot of emotion attached to them, fear, anger, all that fun stuff, can create and hold
right.
somebody or energy
Right.
at a location.
Well, especially if the walls are built with stone. It
Well,
depends on
especially if
minerals.
it's pretty and you have a gargantuan shower. I'm just saying. So tell me, Scott, what happened the first night you investigated that place? Was it just off the charts
Oh, man.
crazy, or did you have to coax them out?
Oh, the first night I was there, it was crazy. I mean, because mind you, a lot of people get so used to doing like residential investigations and stuff like that, and then you step into this big empty building where it's just, rapists died, murderers died, just pretty much the dregs of society. Their spirits are still there, and their energy is still there. Man, the EVP that we got that night, crazy. I was told that I asked, one of my questions was, I'm sort of getting the feeling that you're here for murder. Is that true? And it was, yeah, and I'm going to kill you too. I mean, just little stuff like, little stuff. We were having doors slamming on us. It was interesting.
Well, and it echoes there too, so you wouldn't miss
Oh, I
that.
bet. Well, if those doors, I'm assuming they're not light. They got to be heavy, right?
Well, now they get stuck. Apparently, I wouldn't know from experience or anything, but
Did you try to shut a door and get stuck?
well, no.
What'd you
Kim
do?
did it.
Kim did it.
They warned us right at the start when we first were going in there. They're like, okay, you need to make sure that you don't shut these doors, and definitely don't go in one and shut one, because and then they told us a story about how a locksmith took like 2 hours. Well, they were telling us a story about when Ghost Adventures went, and we found the door that he was looking out like the little.
When Kim's looking through right now. That's cute. Isn't that
And that's me. Well, anyways, we shut it because we were thinking, the guy, Ron, one of your awesome tour guides, which is just phenomenal, by the way. He moved it, shut it and opened it with like no problem at all. And I'm like, oh, okay, this is one that works. So I'm gonna go and get a picture like Zach did. So I'm in there and I'm looking through the little food hole, and we shut it, and I'm like, it's not opening. Oh, crap. Run! But at the time, we were trying to hide it because it was like we were already told not to do that.
Don't do that. But what does Cammy and Kim go do? The opposite.
But it was demonstrated
It was like
as a working doorway.
Kim just said, we thought we were okay.
We did. We thought we were okay. And then after that, Kim was like, hey, okay, come out. And I want to go in there. And then I'm like, okay. So we go to open it, and it wouldn't open. He's like, just kidding. So he didn't get his picture in there because he didn't want to be locked.
Well,
But
Oh, yeah.
it was, I'm like freaking out for a second. I'm like, my bus leaves in like an hour.
Oh my god.
I know, it was
That's
crazy.
hilarious.
It was crazy, but wow. But yeah, anyway, so what we were talking about is that echoes, and when we opened that door, it went and it scared everybody on all cell blocks.
You're like, I'm doing what I'm not supposed to be doing, so just ignore me.
well, you know, it was, we thought we were okay.
Right. Even though they specifically said, do not do this.
Yeah, well, we saw it working prior to. I'm just saying. So you had that. Did you get anything in like the main living quarters, or was it just out in the cells?
Oh, we got stuff all over the place. I don't think there was an area of that building that we didn't get something. I mean, I've gotten, I've seen women up in the warden's quarters. I have, smelled just crazy stuff in like West Administration. You name it, any part of the building, we were having stuff going on.
That's
And
crazy.
it's still pretty much like that to this day.
So do you ever get scared?
I wouldn't say scared.
Uneasy?
Cautious, yes.
Mm-hmm.
See, with me being there for so long, it's almost like a mutual respect. You know what?
Right.
If I ask the guys to sort of like settle down, they will. And if I'm walking through an area, like I'm at the building by myself a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm like unlocking the building or locking the building up, and you know, step into a pocket of, oh my god, I gotta run like a little Catholic schoolgirl feeling.
Right.
I pretty much just tell the guys, hey, you know what, I'm just doing my job, just let me get through here, and then the place is yours after that.
Has anything happened to you that's been... I mean, like, I know, like, our location, because we have a location where we do similar stuff, but it's a hospital, an old hospital, and I know that there's times where there's been people that have been actually physically harmed, like a scratch or
Some
anything
deserved
like
it,
that.
some didn't.
Has anything like that, I know that there's been scratches there, but has anything like that happened to you?
Oh, geez, let me see. Back in, I think it was like 2000 or 2001, I was showing the last handful of people around that were there on the night of a public ghost hunt. And we're up in the third floor West Administration.
Mm-hmm.
And, the building, there wasn't a lot going on that night. I mean, nothing that really, really stuck out.
Mm-hmm.
But we're just standing on the third floor. People, they're just muddling about through the different rooms. And next thing you know, I'm punched in the left kidney to the point where it puts me on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was the big thing.
Wow.
Physically that has happened to me there. I mean, I've been scratched up before, I've been bruised up before, but yeah.
And that doesn't, like, make you think they can do more to you?
All right, now we're getting into a gray area.
There's lots of shades of gray.
That's what we hear.
Right.
Let me go get my ball gag. So, I think a few of them can do more.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they choose not to.
Well, that's lucky.
Right. Maybe they're like earning their wings by showing restraint in the afterlife, maybe? I mean, I don't know if that's possible or not, but...
I
really?
have no clue.
So do they realize that they're dead?
Some do, some don't. Some we have everything from your residual energy there to your sentient ghost that doesn't know that they're dead to the ones that know that they're dead. They know what's going on. We have the ones that were never people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got the shadow people. I think a lot of them are still there because they don't know that they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think we have a lot that are scared to move on because if you think about it, were inmates. They were sentenced for doing something wrong.
Yeah,
Right.
chances are they're going to hell is what their beliefs is.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's like, you know what? I'd rather stay in a 125-year-old abandoned prison than go to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So, yep.
Yeah, that's
Well,
interesting.
That's a lot of people's thoughts, too, why people don't cross over, because they're afraid of their earthly actions are going to follow them onto heaven, judgment, or hell, you know, where the gnashing of teeth and fire and brimstone and all that jazz. So, I mean, it makes sense, as, you know, especially in a prison where they did something wrong. Or, you know, there are those innocents, you know, the one people who got accused and didn't really do anything wrong. You know, what do you know? I mean, do you know the history of the murders that took place inside the prison?
Oh, a good amount of them.
Mm-hmm.
No, what?
Well, I'm sure a lot were
No
covered
one-
up because it looks bad on the warden if shit goes bad.
Yeah, did you find a lot of
Exactly.
cover-ups, too?
Do what? How
Did
what?
you find that there were some cover-ups, like evidence of cover-ups?
Oh, there could have been.
It's like subject not reaching. Not re-
You gotta remember. You guys gotta remember. The new
I do
prison is
know
right
that
behind theirs.
in the
Oh, that's right.
Right, the
Prison
new
is right
prison,
behind.
sorry.
Right, yeah. So tell us a little bit about what you know as far as what happened in the prison for like murders and bad stuff that happened there that would possibly keep these spirits here.
We had inmates, you know, kill each other by everything from setting each other on fire to there was one inmate who was disemboweled while going to the chow hall. We had well, you saw the E-cell blocks. You see how all the cells are closed, slide closed at one time.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get caught in between those doors, there's no stopping them.
Right.
There was an inmate that actually was held there while the door was closing.
Crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
You better be quick.
Well, and they're heavy. I mean, you don't mess around with those doors. I can tell you firsthand.
Can you imagine getting stuck?
That would be rough. That'd be rough. I know Ron was telling us about a game.
Right.
A game that they used to play where they'd stick their hands out and just kind of... And that was part, like, the guards played that as well.
Yeah, they would stick
It's
their
like a
hands
chicken.
out, and you know, the person that kept their hand in there the longest while the doors were closing wins. There were inmates who actually, you know, were showing off and would stick their heads in there. Several inmates lost.
Or one, depending on how you want to look at it.
That's bad.
Well, Carl won this time. Rest in peace.
Yeah,
I mean, don't mean to laugh about it,
I
but
get
it's
his
like,
mattress.
wow. Yeah. Wow. That's crazy.
Pretty much, inmates had plenty of time to figure out how to kill each other,
Right.
and they got real good at it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I would do that. I know that if I was in prison, I would totally kill somebody. Someone would piss me off that bad.
Right. Well, they can't, medicate you in prison. I'm just kidding. Cammy needs no medication. I'm just kidding.
What are you implying?
You haven't killed anybody here.
No,
you're
but
good.
seriously, like, if you're already, like, locked up
Everybody's
for
a target on their head.
Seriously.
Right.
You seen how mad I can get?
Right.
If
Razor
there's-
blades in the back of toothbrushes? Absolutely.
Oh, I'd get more creative.
Well,
Just
there are
saying.
creative. I'm just, slice somebody up. Scare them, give them their little warning.
A little warning. Yeah, that too.
Now, it wasn't just inmate on inmate violence, but there was
No.
also inmate on corrections officer violence. There was
Yeah.
correctioner on inmate violence, correction officer inmates on violence. Pretty much for a while there, it was like the wild, wild west.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no
So it was-
holds barred. I'll kill you before you kill me type deal.
Right. Well, when you're a criminal in that, in that situation, sometimes when you're a criminal out in the real world, that they have that. That's probably why they're in there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is because I'm gonna get you before you get me. The world's out to get me.
Yeah.
And, this is the way it is. I have family, so I can talk. I know. It's not just a theory, so nobody come hunting me down at night. But, no, it's...
They'll get you before you get them.
Right. I won't tell you which eye is my weak eye. I can't see.
Kathy's sporting her gangland tattoo right now.
That's right. No, but I know how it is now, not firsthand, but I know how it is now. I can't imagine how much worse it would be back then, because there's not a lot, there wasn't a lot of, there was control, but there wasn't as much control. It takes, the criminal is always smarter, for the most part, and they, they're always, one step ahead. Hence, the razor blade and the toothbrush.
Mm-hmm. Well, now
obviously that had to be thought of before the warden could think of it.
Well, but now if you think about it, now like you can sue if you're a prisoner. You can.
Oh yeah,
sue.
you still have rights.
But then it wasn't as big of a ethics thing.
Right. Once you're in, you lost all your rights. You have no rhyme or reason. You are there because you were a terrible person. You did a terrible deed, and
what happens to you?
Caught.
You deserve.
You got caught.
Sucker.
That's right. So late.
Originally, it opened up as a reformatory, which was pretty much. It wasn't for bad guys. It was mainly for kids between the ages of 16 and 30 that screwed up.
Right.
There were a lot of, burglars and stuff like that.
Pickpockets.
But right around World War I, they started to bring a couple hardcore criminals in there, but they kept them segregated from pretty much the reformatory inmates.
Right.
And then there was a big fire at the Ohio State Penitentiary in the 1930s. And they ended up losing their entire D block, which was just a mess. 320-some inmates actually burned to death in their cells down at the Ohio Penn.
Jeez.
Holy crap.
Seeing how they didn't have their D block anymore, we started to get a lot of their guys that were supposed to go into their D block.
So then it became prison, not just reformatory.
Exactly. Finally, in the late 1950s, the state, decided, what, let's just turn this into a maximum security prison. So they made that decision in the late 1950s, and finally in the 1970s, right around 1970, is when it turned into a maximum security prison. That's when we started to get, just the guys who didn't care.
Right.
The guys who, I'm doing life anyways, so.
What Cammie just said, I'm going to kill somebody if I'm in there for life anyway. Why not?
Well, think of how angry you'd get at somebody who, gets the better of you or something like that. Ruins your rep in prison. Seriously. You would have to. You would have no choice but to do murder.
Right.
No choice. That's your survival.
It is. I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, and I'm little. I'm almost 5'2". I would have to beat the shit out of somebody.
Right.
Totally take them down with my bare hands,
and be like,
I have to pop, practically rip their heart out through their rib cage to get a good reputation. I'd be like, don't mess with the girl. I have to do it. No choice.
A great visual.
I'd be practicing. I need to, if I ever decide to do something criminal, I will practice prior to, on a chicken or something.
You still have scars.
Well, just like in the prison movies and everything, if you're a smaller in stature, the first thing you do to earn your props in prison is go up to the biggest, gnarliest dude and just start wailing on him.
Yep.
Right.
And that happened here also. I've talked to numerous inmates that were small in stature, and they said, you'd go to the biggest, gnarliest dude, and you'd wake up a couple weeks later in the hospital. So, yeah, but you know what? You showed that you had some guts, so you got a little bit of respect. They wouldn't rate you near as much.
Right.
Near as much. Crap.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
I'd have, like I said, I have to go big. I could not end up in the hospital. Just couldn't.
Yeah, well, you might end up there the first time.
I'd have to be able... No, I'd have to walk away the first time. But you know what? But then again, if you just kept going back, then you just end up in the hospital, every time. And you would never be in general public. There we go.
Problem solved.
Problem solved.
There were good points about being in the prison hospital back in the early days, such as one of the most commonly used medications was whiskey.
Oh, you got to be drunk too. Wow.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Have you heard of toilet moonshine, Cammy?
Well, I don't know. Now I would think that you'd have the morphine button or something. So I'm cool. Just give me some Benadryl, I'll be fine.
Well, they also say, oh, that's just a criminal. You know, let him suffer.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. So when you see the spirits, you said you see shadows. You have everything from residual to the people who don't know they're gone to the people who know they're gone and are just there to wreak havoc. People who know they're gone but don't want to pass on. You know, you said you see in the shadows. You also see like flashies,
like apparitions,
like full color hair,
detail.
Within the past week, there have been 4 reported. I have seen one myself just this past week.
So like a regular Joe, trampling down the halls?
Like a prisoner, or just all sorts of different types of people?
The ones that people have reported, one of them was a guard, 2 of them were prisoners, and the one that I saw was a prisoner. I was unlocking the central guard room, which is, the big pretty room with glass.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see down both cell blocks from there. And I was the only one in the building. I was the only one on the property. And I see an inmate just walking down the ground floor, walking towards the end of the east cell block.
Just chilling.
Huh. That's fascinating.
That is fascinating. Well, I believe, Cammy, it is break time.
Is it?
Already? Yeah, Kim just did we're 1 over.
Oh, we are?
Yeah.
My gosh, I'm like seriously lost in time.
I know, when he did that, I'm like, what?
Are you
I
kidding?
did too. I forgot. I was a minute over because I got lost.
Okay, so Kim even got
Well,
distracted.
this is like so fascinating.
This is fascinating.
And this just kind of builds the story. I mean, we're paranormal, but we're just building the story. I mean, think of how it was then, and think of how it is now. For some of those spirits, it's still the same.
Yeah, you got a whole bunch of bad spirits. I can't even imagine the torture. We're going to ask them that when we come back. I want to ask them. So think about this. I want to ask
And
you.
if we come back from lunch and I'm not here, look at Kathy.
She's got one good eye.
But I want to
All
ask
right.
them, how do they think, do you think torture each other as if they would when they were alive, living together in maximum security?
I would
So think about that.
Okay.
I would think, you think. So I want to hear what he because he lives there pretty much.
Well, if they
do you
can do a
notice
living
that there's,
person harm.
Right, so why couldn't they do a spiritual person harm? I want to know what he thinks about that. Because we have the hospital to play around with. It's a little bit different. We have different apparatuses, and people might be scared of it because of the blinking lights and think it's going to do them harm. But his end, where people were nasty living, so in our theory, if they're nasty living, they can choose to be nasty dead.
I don't think it's a theory.
Well,
I'm pretty sure it happens.
Well, we've seen it. We know it.
Right.
But for other people, for us it's fact. For other people, it's theory.
Right. Okay.
So,
good point.
So, think about this while we go to break. Are the spirits nasty to each other?
Well, yeah, that, and then we have some evidence, some photos, and some EVPs that we're going to share too.
I want to see them all. I want to hear it all. All right. Well, we're going to go to break, 5-ish minutes.
And then we'll go right to Larry.
More right to Larry. Is he live tonight, or did he get?
Nope, he's got it. It's working.
We scared him off. He wasn't going to do live again.
He liked it, and he did really good.
He did amazing.
It's too bad he wasn't on Skype. We would have made him dance. That 1,000.
I better see that video today.
We're still expecting it, Larry. We're waiting.
All right, well, let's go to break and everybody do what you need to do.
Alrighty, we'll see you back in 5. We're back.
We're back.
But not for long because
Nope.
we're going straight into Larry's stuff.
Live with Larry.
Live with Larry, Big Time Paranormal. Here we go.
Hi, welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez, and I run a Facebook page called Big Time Paranormal. What we do on there is we bring to you the latest in hauntings, ufology, cryptology, cutting-edge technology, mythology, and we also try to bring a laugh or two on some of the things we might find that we think that's very humorous. Well, on this segment, we also try to do the same thing. So basically what you see here is what you see there, but it's much more extensive there. So if you like what you see here, come on over, take a look, and again, thank you for being here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about Debbie Lovato. Now, if you're not familiar with her, she's an actress-singer, and she was doing an interview for a radio show, and she was talking about a house that she used to live in as a child, and it was haunted. So let's watch some of the video from that.
I got one more question for you because I heard you have a ghost story.
I do.
Okay. I want you to tell it coming up. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right, Demi Lovato, ghost time. I'm ready for this. What is your ghost story? Because I heard it's crazy.
Well, okay. A bunch of weird things had been happening where I was living, and one of the things that had happened was I went to shut my closet door, and well, okay, before I get to this, I'm actually going to tell you a few instances that happened. There would be times where, like, my dad would lose his belt or whatever, so he would search the house, like, 3 times. My sisters and I would help. My mom would look. We'd look all over the place, and then all of a sudden we'd go back into his room, and the belt would be, like, perfectly coiled on the bed.
Okay.
And that was just, like, normal for us. There was a time where, like, me, my dad, and my mom, and my little sister, who was a baby at the time, were watching TV. And all 3 of us, or 4 of us, I guess 3 because Madison was too young, we all saw something come down the stairs and go into the kitchen. And we're in the living room, like, right there. And my dad was like, "Hey, Dallas, can you grab me a glass of Kool-Aid?" And she didn't answer. And my mom was like, "Dallas, don't be rude." And we all look over there. She's not in the kitchen. Dallas comes walking down the stairs. And we were just like, okay, just another weird thing that happens. Just so many things. Like, same thing with the belt. He was looking for his socks one time. My dad used to wear, like, the fanciest socks ever. I don't know why. Whatever.
You got fancy socks on, Dad?
He's wearing flip-flops today. He's cooled down a little bit. He's retired, yeah. But we would go back into his room, and there would be socks, like, perfectly laid out on his bed. And we would always hear, like, big crashes coming from upstairs. We'd go upstairs, nothing. Like, all the furniture was still in place. Just weird things. So one night, I went to go to bed, and I went to shut my closet door. And when I shut it, I saw a little girl dressed like she was from, like, the 1800s or 1700s, whatever. And it looked just standing in my closet. And I like froze, and I ran into my older sister's room. I was like, "Oh my God, Dallas, please, can I sleep with you tonight?" She was like, "Your face is like white. What just happened?" And I was like, I just saw a ghost." And she was like, "Oh my God." And incidentally, like, actually, I don't know if that's a word, but it's okay because I was homeschooled. I told my mom, like, a week later, but the only reason why I told her is because she was like, "Hey, were you guys awake and running around upstairs at night, like, the other night?" We're like, "No, why?" She was like, "Well, because for the past week I've been hearing, like, people running around upstairs, or footsteps, and I'd go upstairs to check it out because it's like 2 in the morning. You guys should be going to sleep, and you guys are dead asleep." And I was like, "Well, no, we haven't actually, but I did see a little girl in my closet." So,
by the way, yeah.
By the way, and then she hit me with this. She was like, "Well, you know that when you were 5 years old, I came upstairs into the room that was on the other side of my closet, and you were talking by yourself, and there was a picture frame of a little girl dressed like she was from the 1800s. You know, like, when you buy a picture frame, it comes with, like, a paper thing. And she comes in, and she says, "Demi, who are you talking to?" And I said, "She's my best friend, Victoria." And
It's time for you to move.
but I did, yeah, time for me to root for it, yeah. So we now live in California.
Okay.
But no, it's just really weird, and I don't remember that happening, which is the weirdest part. And then I saw a little girl in my closet. Just weird, just throwing it out there. I totally
Creepy.
believe in ghosts. After that, there's no way I can't.
There you go. Now, the reason I like pulling up stuff like that is because when you have celebrities that talk about what they do, it's because it's a little bit more closer to us, because a lot of times when we see celebrities from television shows or whatever, we feel more connected to them because they're in our home each and every week and so on. So props off to her for talking about it, because obviously this is something that people want to talk about more and more. So good for her. Okay, so now we're going to be going off the paranormal. We're going to be talking about a little bit about the space race, and we are really entering a new era. Now, back in '61, John F. Kennedy, who was president at the time, gave this tremendous speech about racing to the moon. And of course, we were in a race against the Russians, who had already launched a satellite into orbit. And so let's take a look at this video.
But why, some say, the moon? Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? Why, 35 years ago, fly the Atlantic? Why does Rice play Texas? We choose to go to the moon. We choose to go to the moon in this decade and do the other things, not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win, and the others too. If we shall send to the moon 240,000 miles away from the control station in Houston, a giant rocket more than 300 feet tall, the length of this football field, made of new metal alloys, some of which have not yet been invented, capable of standing heat and stresses several times more than have ever been experienced, fitted together with a precision better than the finest watch, carrying all the equipment needed for propulsion, guidance, control, communications, food, and survival, on an untried mission to an unknown celestial body, and then return it safely to Earth, re-entering the atmosphere at speeds of over 25,000 miles per hour, causing heat about half that on the temperature of the sun, almost as hot as it is here today, and do all this, and do all this, and do it right, and do it first before this decade is out, then we must be bold.
Okay, so as you can see, it was a challenge at the time. We actually beat that deadline, which was pretty phenomenal. The Russians were trying to beat us there, but they never actually made it. Now, let's watch this video. This was just something that just came out of the UK, where they want to send a team to Mars.
The mission will start with our launch, and in that we'll have everything we need to go to Mars.
We're going to launch in a relatively conventional rocket, but at the top of that rocket is going to be a cruise stage and the re-entry vehicle to get us landed onto Mars.
There'll be a short, ever such short burn to get us away from the Earth and into this curved trajectory going towards Mars. During that, our spaceship will literally just split apart, connected by our little tether, and it will start spinning to create this artificial gravity. Fingers crossed there won't be any solar storms on the way from the Earth to Mars, and we can keep going nice and gently. Once we get to Mars, we'll re-tether it together, the astronauts will join in the nose cone, and it will be ejected into the Martian atmosphere. This is why you need this big cone at the front to soak up all that heat going through the atmosphere.
At 700 miles an hour or so, they will be able to release a parachute. Right at the last moment on entry, the legs are going to be deployed, and we hope that re-entry vehicle quite gracefully descends on those retro rockets down to the surface of Mars.
Some people think that the use of humans is just something that is popular and very attractive from an adventure and inspirational point of view, but there are also real scientific benefits for sending humans. Humans can data process while they're walking around, while they're looking at rocks. They're probably the most sophisticated computer, the most sophisticated robotic living organism that we can imagine.
There'll be the building of the habitat, and there'll be some experiments on the Martian surface. After a couple of months, we'll drive from our landing zone to the return launcher. We'll getting that, hopefully it will be fueled up, fire off from the Martian surface and fly back to the Earth again.
So, according to some things I've been looking up, to give you an idea what kind of race we're looking at, let's see, the U.S., Russians, the Europeans, the Chinese, amongst others, are all talking about either getting to Mars or to the moon. Yes, we've already been to the moon, but they want to be able to have the bragging rights of saying, we got there. Especially to Mars. They want the bragging rights of saying, we got there first. Now, private industry wants to go there as well. Businessman and former space tourist Dennis Tito wants to send an American couple on a mission beginning in 2018 that would pass within 100 miles or 160 kilometers of Mars before using the planet's gravity to slingshot the craft back to Earth. Now, this is something I have reported before, weeks ago, that they wanted to do this. The Dutch project Mars One proposes putting a human colony on the planet beginning in 2023, while SpaceX chief executive Elon Musk has spoken of sending a private human mission to Mars within 12 to 15 years. Now, of course, there's a lot they're going to have to overcome. Now, pretty much everyone, except for the one where they're talking about slingshotting back to the Earth, realizes that this is probably going to be a one-way mission because your bones and your muscles and so on start to break down a little bit, and you can't take the gravity of Earth anymore. I mean, you've seen videos talking about astronauts who have come back from a mission from space where a lot of times they need help walking because they are unable to walk, even though they might exercise. You see them carried. Now, that is the new space race, like it or not. So, with that being said about the space race, you might be thinking, why? Why are we sending people to Mars and the moon and so on like that, when we can actually use that money to help feed the homeless and stuff like that? And I can understand your feelings about that. You know, why go out there when we need to take care of these things at home? For I understand, even if they were to spend all this money on all those projects to feed the homeless and so on, you only can feed them for so long before the money runs out. And then what? And the worst part is that you also create a system where people become dependent on the government instead of being able to do it on your own. And I can understand that part as well. But let's take a look at a video about some of the things that we see today that were invented through NASA. Now, this is only the top 10. There are many, many, many other things that were invented through the space race and through NASA and so on that we actually use every day. But this is only the top 10. So let's watch that video right now. top 10 things. So now we're going to be talking about cutting edge technology. Cutting edge technology is usually right on the crisp of something fantastic that is being explored. Now, one of the things that has just come out is smart glass, smart crystals. How many of you remember this scene from the second Superman movie where Lex Luthor is actually going through crystals and finding that there's actually information on them? Let's take a look at that video.
So much for moral rearmament. Give me another crystal.
Education Crystal 108, Earth Culture. A typical ode much loved by the people who will live among Kalel. Trees by Joyce Kilmer. I think that I shall never see poem as lovely as a tree. A tree whose branches wide and strong.
I like trees.
So does your average Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah, I like Cocker Spaniels too. But the thing is that obviously crystals are something that has not been explored because it's not technology, according to a lot of people. But crystals have been around for a long time. Now, being on Big Time Paranormal, I go through a lot of stories and I try to keep an eye on a lot of things. And there are suggestions that the ancient continent of Atlantis, which many people believe existed, including Edgar Casey's son, they believe that crystals powered the continent. Now, one of the speculations is about the Bermuda Triangle is that there is actually an ancient crystal that powered one of the cities that activates once in a while and causes the Bermuda Triangle. Now, I'm not saying that this is real. I'm just saying that this is the suggestion by people that have looked into it. And there are a lot of people that believe in crystals. So scientists have now started saying, well, what if this technology can be real? Well, let's take a look at a video where they're actually developing this technology, which I think is fascinating.
For Mashable, I'm Lauren Goris. Clear glass appears to do nothing more than reflect light or protect your iPhone. But Japanese tech giant Hitachi says it developed a way for glass to store data forever, and this transparent plane is it. Forever storage might not sound groundbreaking, but if it works, it would be. Remember, data on CDs and hard drives has an expiration date. Most storage devices can keep your data safe from its fate for a few decades, but then that's it. You lose your music, photos, and old documents. So is the answer really in this 2x2 centimeter sliver of glass? Almost. The model you see here wouldn't hold much data. 1 square inch of the storage glass holds about 40 megabytes, about the density of a CD. To put this all into perspective, there are standard SD cards that hold 32 gigs. The AFP reports scientists haven't had the chance to put their glass to practical use just yet, but that doesn't mean they haven't put this thing to a few different tests. Unlike your thumb drive, this shard can survive in temperatures as hot as 1800 degrees Fahrenheit. It's also waterproof, resistant to many chemicals, and unaffected by radio waves. It seems the only thing that could shatter your storage dreams is, well, a crack in the glass. The chip design currently features 4 layers of quartz glass, each one with tiny dots that hold the data. But unlike Google's Glass, Hitachi's storage chip won't put the data in front of your face. You'll actually have to put this glass in a computer to access its information. A lot of work, we know. For Mashable, I'm Lauren Goris.
Now, what I find about this interesting is that the storage life is life. They, of course, CDs have, or compact discs have a life of, I believe it's 20 years. And of course, they spoke about the storage on our computers and so on have a certain life. But imagine if these things can be stored for a lifetime on a simple piece of glass. So that'll be exciting to see that happen as well. Can you imagine, just carrying a small box of photographs and memory and stuff like that? So if there's a fire, they actually have a better chance of survival, taking that the glass can take it heat up to 180. 1800 degrees. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about archaeology. Now, I know the subject about the Christian Bible is a very touchy subject because not everybody's a Christian. Okay, I can understand that. But one of the things that is spoken about in the Bible is about this young man taking care of Goliath. Let's watch a little bit of this video.
So be it!
Now, of course, most of us are familiar with the story of David and Goliath. It's also become a bit of a metaphor for when you're fighting against corporations or whatever. Or big government or whatever. Now, we ran across this story about King David's palace discovered by archaeologists finds a huge palace. Now, this is in Jerusalem. Now, I forgot how long ago it was. The story of King David was just something that was in the Bible, but of course, there was they found some evidence where the tablet was found which said the house of David. And so this leads toward that King David actually existed. So let's watch this video on the discovery of what could possibly be his palace.
For Newsy, I'm Megan Murphy. It's known as the Holy City. Now, a new find by archaeologists might support the title. Two large buildings were uncovered in Jerusalem that researchers believe to have been palaces belonging to the Bible's King David. Archaeologists found hundreds of artifacts, including stone tools, pottery vessels, and religious objects. One professor told Fox News the find is indisputable proof of the existence of a central authority in Judah during the time of King David. But not everyone recognizes the historical significance equally, mainly the joint kingdom of David and Solomon in the 10th century BCE. Haaretz explains minimalists question whether there really was such a place, and if it did exist, it was limited to Jerusalem, which they claim was no bigger than an average village. And until the 1990s, there was no evidence King David even existed outside of the Bible. In 1993, a team of archaeologists discovered this piece of basalt rock with House of David inscribed in Aramaic dating back to the 9th century BC. Roughly a century after he ruled. Critics do agree the site is important. However, some question the archaeologists' reliance on the Bible as a source of evidence. The Israel Antiquities Authority said it hoped the new discoveries will lead to the site becoming a national park. For Newsy, I'm Megan Murphy.
Well, there you have it. So, whether you believe in the story of King David or any of the stories that's related to the Bible, it still is a fascinating story. So anyway, that's pretty much it this week because we knew that we were going to have a lot of stories and we wanted to make sure that we got them to you. Now next week we'll probably cover much more, especially when it comes to conventions and so on. So until next week, remember, today is your day. Go out and make it happen. Thanks. We'll see you next week. Hi, welcome to Big Time Paranormal. My name is Larry Gonzalez and I run a Facebook page called Big Time Paranormal. what we do on there is we bring to you the latest in hauntings, ufology, cryptozoology, cutting-edge technology, mythology, and we also try to bring a laugh or two on some of the things we might find that we think that's very humorous. Well, on this segment, we also try to do the same thing. So basically what you see here is what you see there, but it's much more extensive there. So if you like what you see here, come on over, take a look, and again, thank you for being here. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about Debbie Lovato. Now, if you're not familiar with her, she's an actress-singer, and she was doing an interview for a radio show, and she was talking about a house that she used to live in as a child, and it was haunted. So let's watch some of the video from that.
I got one more question for you because I heard you have a ghost story.
I do.
Okay. I want you to tell it coming up. Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. Perfect. All right, Demi Lovato.
Alrighty. Wow, Larry. Always fascinating.
Always.
Always fascinating.
Mars.
Yeah, Mars and Superman.
It's our next trip. It's our next go-to planet.
Mars. I was just digging the crystal area and Superman. You know, they just don't make him like they used to.
No. Not at all.
I know. Okay, so what was your question? We're here with Scott from Ohio State Reformatory.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
fascinating.
Yeah, welcome back, Scott.
It's been the fastest hour ever.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Yay! Time has just like flown by. Scott was telling us about an interview he did for like 5.5 hours, and now I can see how it happened. I mean,
right.
You would never end with, you'd always have something to talk about.
Right, poor Kim at the end of the night, he's going to be like, 5 over, 10 over.
But we've got evidence and stuff to go over.
Right, we do. We got a lot. But I had a question.
Yeah, you had a question. Kathy had a question, so she's going to rephrase that for you, Scott.
Right. So, okay. In the living world, okay, Cammie and I feel, and I know there's a lot of other people out there too, that feel if you're an icky person in life, you're going to be an icky person in death. Okay? So you're in this prison with icky people who did icky bad things. Some may have been falsely accused, but when you're in there for a long period of time, you have to grow to be part of these people. Whether
Hence
that's
why I would do murder.
Cammie would beat down somebody.
I would have no choice.
Stab them with her dinner fork.
No, with my nails.
With your nails?
Yeah.
A lot better than your nuts. This is what I thought she was going to say.
Thanks, Kim. Again.
But so, do you feel like there's any, or have you experienced, or have you seen, or have you got any evidence of these spirits being in turmoil with each other like they would you're stuck in this place.
Yeah, so are
people.
spirits attacking spirits?
Yeah, are they stabbing somebody? Are they, you know what I mean? Are they in turmoil with each other?
I did get one EVP that says, if you quit raping me.
Yes.
That's about the only quote evidence that we've caught of that stuff still going on.
Well, and we actually have that clip. Can we go ahead and play that really fast?
Kim's looking. While Kim's looking there, so, do you ever, when you walk in there, do you feel like, ooh, a brawl just was in here, and you just kind of walked in after it, or during it? After you're there for so long, of all the spirits around you, people might think that's weird. But you do, know.
Still, how should I put it? They don't go into certain areas because of conflicts that have happened there in the past. So yeah, there's a lot of them that are still aware of that type of stuff. And let me see. The fighting, not your best residual.
Right.
But yeah, that'd be pretty damn cool, though.
That would be interesting. I don't know if I would want to get in the middle of that. Because you think, when people are in prison, they're in a state of existence. They have to exist, or they have to survive. It's battle of the fittest, I guess, in some ways.
Yeah.
If you're not higher up on the totem pole, or you're not minding your own P's and Q's, or if you aren't invisible to other people, you are going to be a target.
Yeah.
And you got the higher ups with the higher ups, and who are trying to bang heads and stuff like that. I just I wonder if that's how it is in the afterlife too, because obviously they're not going anywhere, whether they can or cannot, whether they've chosen to or don't know that they can. There's obviously something there that is stopping them from going beyond the walls if they know that they can leave. Whether that's passing on or whatever, but you'd think in the spirit world that they would behave the same as they did in the living.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Actually, now that I think about it, because a lot of the stuff, a lot of the experiences I have are audible.
Right.
And there will be times where one of our regular ghosts, you know, will pretty much give me a heads up of, you know, pretty much, hey, don't go down there because this guy is out.
Right.
That type of stuff. I mean,
Right.
I don't know if they're sort of covering my butt or what.
Well, you know, I think you know there's good in everybody, and so just because they're in prison doesn't mean that they're necessarily bad people.
Exactly.
So,
I mean, we had I guess you can say that a lot of us volunteers and some of the ghosts there have almost become like family type, and they'll let us know, you know, what areas to stay out of and all that. There was actually one that he's been there forever. I haven't heard him this year because he was stuck down in this one corner, and he just through the years I've pretty much pieced all the put all the puzzle pieces together, and he was staying there because that was his own hell. He wanted to make right with what he did at that prison before he moved on.
Right.
Finally, I think he moved on.
Oh.
So, cause he did some rather bad things there. So, yeah.
Well, you know, and you'd rather, you know, I believe in hell in a different sense than other people. I believe it's your own personal hell. You're your own worst critic. You're your own, you know, worst.
Yeah, you judge yourself really harsh.
I believe there's a higher power of judging as well, but I also believe that you're your own worst critic. And, you know, do you ever have shamans or spirit guides or anybody, not spirit guides, but people come through and clear out any of the negative energy, or to help people who need to be at peace, or you just let things happen with, you know, naturally?
Good question.
I pretty much, if I have learned over the years how to deal with things that need to be dealt with. So I guess that would be me. I mean, if there are things that pretty much want to move on, you know, I'll pretty much show them the door.
Right.
But I mean, we've never had anybody that I would. I'm not going to say trust, because I mean.
That's a big word. I mean, that's, you know, you trust people, but.
Well, I think I can kind of relate with that. You know, you're at a location, you have these spirits there that have been there for years and years and years.
Right.
Are you going to have somebody come in and do something to them? Right. You know, because you're kind of their protector in a sense, you know, on this plane.
I think so.
You know, so to have somebody come in that isn't there, that doesn't know, you know, because there's so many times, just like you were saying when we first started, that there's all these myths and lore and stuff that goes on about, you know, the spirits and the location that you're in, and they're not always true.
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, he's like, emphatic. Correct.
Yeah, we have had so many people, normally on the public ghost hunts, that come in, and while they're registering in, they make sure everybody within a 2-block area of them knows, I am psychic.
Yeah.
And those are usually the ones that you're like, sure you are.
Right. Usually by the end of a tour, I can tell who's somebody is psychic, because they like to stay in the background.
Yeah.
You can tell who's a little more sensitive than others, for sure.
Yeah, I have run into 5 people out of my 16 years there that they're good. And an interesting thing is, 3 of them, well, let me see, 2 of them had Down syndrome, and one of them, it might have been Asperger's. But, I mean, they were dead on.
I believe it.
And then another one was Canadian. So that sort of...
The Canadians! The Canadians! The other one was a Canadian. That was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we were actually talking about that, because we have one of the owners of the haunted house that we have, her daughter, she has a handicap as well.
Yeah, she's got a couple of things going on.
Yeah, and
that girl is fabulous. I tell
well,
you
she'll
what,
sit
she
there.
can see stuff.
Well, the other day we were sitting there and she was having a conversation with somebody, and you know, you don't know. I mean, I've never seen these people, but she'll say, so-and-so is here, and they're not leaving me alone. And she's, how old is she? Is she 12, 11?
She's older than Tyler, so I think she's 10, 11.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
But so she'll have conversations with people and say people are there, and
the stupid fatheads won't leave me alone.
Yeah, they taunt her, they're making faces at her or something like that. And
well, there's been one that scared her that it was problematic. It bothered me that it would scare her like that, but yeah, the people with disabilities, they have a higher level of thinking than we can ever possibly imagine.
I also think it has to do with, it doesn't seem like they build up the mental filters that we do.
Right.
Just like, I don't know if anybody's lived near like an airport or a busy highway for the first week, that's all you hear.
Right.
But after a week or so, you don't even hear that stuff anymore. Doesn't mean it's not there, it's just your brain is filtering it out.
Well, not only that, but you're told by society that spirits don't exist, ghosts aren't real, monsters aren't real, aliens aren't real. You're told, and you're told, and you're told, and you're told, so that way your parents don't have to hear you scream and freak out that there's a monster under your bed.
Well, there is.
You
gotta stay underneath your blankets and keep your limbs from hanging over the edge, and you're fine.
With a few inches.
In chat, they're asking how much of that he thinks is residual and intelligent.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a question in chat.
Okay.
How much of the hauntings or the energies at the reformatory do you think is residual versus intelligent and stuff?
Let me see.
Does one outweigh the other?
Through each hall, his thinking, each hall. Let's see. I talked to so-and-so. So-and-so warns me about the bad stuff going on in the mess hall.
Yeah, that's a good question.
And let me see. Currently, I would say that it's, I would say 60-40 residual has the lead.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we have a good amount of the sensing ones, and that's being proven to me by, the EVPs that are answering questions and stuff like that.
Yeah, that are responsive.
I mean, last one that I got was up in the chapel. I was just walking through, only one in the building. I was unlocking some doors, had my recorder going, and I just said, all right, anybody, if you're here, how are you doing today? Clear guy's voice says, we're all effing dead. Well, he used yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean you can't be good.
I know, but is your day good? I mean, just what I'm asking.
It's a wonderful day in the neighborhood. A wonderful day in the neighborhood.
We've been trying to play these EVPs, and for whatever reason, it's not working. So I'm totally bummed out because there were some good ones. I even amplified them.
Did you really?
Yes, I did.
You're really good at that. You've always been able to do that. I'm like, here, Cammie, here's my EVPs. You amplify them.
I even amplified them because they are really impressive. I mean,
right. Well, the one that we know that he said, that went along with my question of do they still fight? Mm-hmm. Do they still interact like that? Is if you quit raping me.
Yeah. So what was the story along that one? I mean, what was the questions? Leading up to that EVP.
I was just walking through an area for years and years and years. People had an issue with this area. And I call it the creepy cut-through of death. Because it's a creepy cut-through.
That's kind of like our scary hall.
That's that's what I was thinking. That's kind of like our scary hall. I think all haunted locations have a scary hall or a creepy cut-through.
That's no bueno.
Okay, but go on.
So I got down to the bottom of the stairs and got into a pocket of ew.
Uh-huh.
And so I just stood there, and, at the bottom of these stairs, there's like a little hallway that goes into 3 rooms, which, ironically, is now my office. And I just stood there, and it was, that's what I got.
You're like, done. I will quit right now.
Done and done.
Yeah, fine.
Right.
You've got a deal.
Well, you know, that could be, you know, I mean, was that a where your office is at and where that recording was taken, is that an area that was for the inmates, or was that an area that you could only be if you were an employee?
That would have been one of the first areas that the inmates would have gone to.
Also, like the check-in.
They would have been brought in, you know, by a sheriff's deputy or whatever.
Right.
And that was the area where they would have done their processing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their first shower would have been there. They would have done all their paperwork. And, yeah.
They would have got checked out, make sure, you know, no balloons.
Yeah, exactly.
No balloons.
You know, Kathy, there are secrets and things about Kathy that we don't know.
I don't carry balloons with me.
We don't know. All these things, it's like... She has the most guilty looking face I think I've ever seen on this woman right now. Seriously, she's like... We will talk later, Kathy. We will talk. Balloons. Oh my goodness.
I watch a lot of TV.
You watch a lot of TV.
Into the prison somehow.
I got family.
Yep.
Got family on the inside.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go to some of these photos.
Oh, I'm so excited.
So, Kim, whichever one you're going to click on next,
right.
Tell me what it says down underneath it so that we can, like, what's it titled?
No, I can
talk about it. Man in the Hole?
Ooh.
So tell us about the photo, Man in the Hole.
Okay. So Man in the Hole was taken by one of the ghost hunters. Oh, Jesus, had to be early 2000s. And he was sitting on, you know, one of the cassettes in the hole, and he took the picture. And here is what he got. It is a guy looking down. He's wearing like a tank top type undershirt. I mean, to the point where you could even see the weight of, you know, the material on his shoulder.
It's amazing.
I've been a photographer. I've been a professional photographer for a decade now, and there is no way that could be toyed with.
Mm-hmm.
That was taken 35 millimeter, and unless you know what you're doing in the developing room, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's fascinating.
35 millimeter. I
Oh,
love
man.
that. You know, I love talking to these old schoolers who
Right.
did like the tape recorders. You
Well,
know,
guess
I mean,
what?
like seriously, legwork.
Guess what I found?
What'd you find?
I know what race Polaroid is. And we are so gonna Polaroid all over Asylum. We're doing it.
Holy mackerel!
All right, so now
I can't wait.
Let's go to the next
Kim's like
one.
moving right along.
OSR Mansfield.
What is that?
OSR Mansfield.
OSR Mansfield.
Ooh.
describe it.
Describe it, Kim.
It looks like he's looking through a hole somewhere.
Looking through a hole.
It's black on the outside.
That was actually taken during the day tour.
Oh.
This year, it was a 14-year-old, 15-year-old girl taking it on her iPhone,
Mm-hmm.
and the area that she shot, see, in between the cells, in the back of the cells, there's like a maintenance area, and nobody has access to those areas because I mean they're locked, and there's one way in and one way out.
Mm-hmm.
And down at the end, there's the shadow guy just hanging out down at the end.
He's like, suckers, you can't get in here. And she's like, watch me. I'm 14 and resourceful.
And I got an iPhone.
That's awesome. I mean, do you know any of these spirits? Like, can you say, oh, this is so-and-so?
You know, there were so many deaths in the building, it's really hard to nail down who they were.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless we get a name on EVP, yeah, it's just tough.
Well, do you name them
if,
yourselves?
If there's somebody picks up a woman in the warden's quarters, I mean, there's a good possibility that it's like the warden's wife was accidentally shot back in 1950.
Oh, geez.
But then
Accidentally.
Again, it could have been, you know, some other warden's wife or, you know, daughter that was there at one time.
Mistress. Woo.
Oh,
trying
boy.
to get a few
Can of worms.
off her
he avoids all the controversial stuff.
He's just, oh boy.
Yeah.
That's like code for I know something you don't know.
It's also code for I better keep my mouth shut.
Again, his place is right in front of the new prison.
Right, Kim has a good point. His place is right in front of the new prison.
Oh. All right, Kim, what else have we got?
there?
The shadow person.
The shadow person.
That's probably in the East Cell block.
Yeah.
Okay. That was taken actually by the pusher on my tour. It was a private ghost hunt, and there were 13 people that night.
Mm-hmm.
I was in front of the tour. Pusher was in back of the tour, and everybody was behind us.
Mm-hmm.
She takes the shot, and there is a shadow person standing on the fourth tier.
That's crazy.
Everybody that was in the building was behind me. And yeah. Now
That's
the funny
crazy.
thing is, back into the 1950s, inmates were reporting seeing a shadow person or a shadow figure in the East Cell block.
Wow. So, like, even the inmates were haunted. What the heck?
There were a lot of inmates that had issues because they would wake up and there would be somebody standing in their cell. Or they would just be playing cards and somebody would appear in the cell.
Well, can you imagine? Okay, it closed down in 1990, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're in 1990, you know, you're playing the cards, and then you see somebody in total different attire, because I'm sure their jumpsuits or their clothes had changed, off to the corner, or you wake up to some pissed off cellmate back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, who's like, you're in my bunk.
Yep.
What? If you stop raping me. I mean, seriously.
Can you imagine waking? I mean, there's nowhere you can go.
That's
You
probably
can't
where it
call
came
in-
from.
You can't, right, you can't call in a team. What are you going to do? You'd be like, guard, I need to change my room. This isn't quite acceptable.
Yeah, they say suffer.
Alright, we better move on.
What was that?
That did happen.
Yeah.
That did happen. There was actually a cell on that tier, which is the fourth tier in the East Cell block, that was notorious for inmates having things happen.
Really?
Now, this is something that 99.9% of the volunteers don't even know.
Ooh.
Now, the way I know this stuff is because inmates from different time periods have told me about this cell.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my friends was in there in 1982 and had something happen.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, have you
That
been
takes it
able
to
to
a
track
whole nother
it
level.
anywhere? I mean,
Do what?
have you been able to track it anywhere to anybody? Like, why would somebody be there? And who? Like, former...
Like, who was in that cell?
Yeah, like former residents of that cell, I guess.
You know, for that long of time period, it would be super hard to figure out who was housed in the individual cells.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of our records have been either lost or destroyed.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we come back to Ohio, you're going to put us in that cell, and we're going to find out for you.
I lock you down in solitary confinement.
I'll be in solitary confinement, but not by myself.
Not solitary.
But not by myself.
Well, what's in solitary?
It's bad stuff.
Bad stuff?
Just, you know, bad
Solitary
stuff.
confinement is one of the consistent areas. I mean, it's common for people to get scratched up down there. We actually got a video of a gentleman getting scratched last year to the point of he puts his arm out, there's one scratch, and then you watch the other scratches form on video. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Good stuff.
So I have a question. What do you think of this theory? Because there's been people
Right.
who have told us that, you know, there's because you have this location, because you do what you do, and you have all this other stuff happening, people create things. You know, so it's their energy creating or manifesting something negative.
Like hormonal teenage girls.
I mean, do you think that could happen? Because it is solitary. People are probably not enjoying it.
Right. They only have their minds to work with.
Yeah. Do you think that could be something going on there? Or do you have, like, ideas of who's down there tormenting everyone?
So you're sort of going off the same theory that I have with stigmata.
Yeah.
You are creating it. Yeah. You know, I don't know. It's possible. Have I been scratched up? Yes, I have been. Did I consciously think, you know what? I want to have 3 big scratches on the back of my head? No.
So is it all, wait a second, one second. Is it always 3 scratches?
Most of the time, it's either 3 or 4.
Okay.
4. Huh.
Because we have 3. It's at our place. It's 3.
Right.
It always looks very similar.
Well,
too.
do you think, like, the people down in solitary when they were there, do you think that they have possibly created a entity, not a being, because it had to be alive to be a being, but an entity, a creature, or something that has lasted all these years to cause this havoc, to cause what's going on down there?
Okay, sort of like the Philip experiment back in the day. Very possible. Very possible. I know that the ruling party in the prison, the ruling gangs in the prison back in the day, has been everything from black Muslim. The Muslims had their own set of things that they can conjure up. They've had the Satanists in the 80s. They've got their things that they can conjure up. Yes, I can see that. I can see that. But I mean, there were some pretty crazy guys down in the hole.
Yeah.
Because solitary confinement was designed to mess with you mentally.
Well, yeah.
I mean, like to either be on 24/7 or off 24/7. They wanted to pretty much get rid of your internal clock.
Right, they wanted to break your spirit. Like, literally break you. Yeah, break your spirit.
Exactly. I mean, just like you know, boot camp. It is there to break you down to nothing.
Yeah, so they can build you up to what they want you to be.
Exactly. Exactly. So, I can see where possibly this thing has been created. I know it moves around a lot. It just hasn't been solitary confinement lately. I mean, it's been, you know, the East Wing or the West Wing or
on the move.
even in the basement of the warden's quarters. People have been getting scratched up.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's moving.
So have you noticed things like evolving? The more you have hunts, the more people come and talk to them, the more people investigate. Have you noticed any of the hauntings like evolving and being more dramatic?
Not especially.
Okay.
They seem to have changed a little bit, but not gotten, you know, more in your face. One thing that we have noticed over the past year and a half, maybe 2 years now, is we have the consistent areas. Those areas have stayed pretty consistent, but the activity has spread out. Before, like, for the first 5 or 6 years that we had the building and we were doing the investigations, you would not find an inmate in the front of the building, which would have been administration.
Right.
We very, very, very rarely got, you know, any EVP, any picture, anything of an inmate up there. More and more lately, we're finding that we're getting inmates up front. It's sort of like hey, you know what? I don't have to stay in my cell. I could go up there.
Ooh, that could be dangerous.
Learning and involved. Yeah, they're learning.
That could be dangerous.
Yeah, it could be.
That's crazy, but cool at the same time.
Yeah. Well, it would be interesting to keep track of this and find out where they're going and where how many more are recognizing that they have this free will that they may or may not already know about.
Well, I'm just gonna hope they stay there. You know, because they're probably, yes, I'm out and I can go do anything, and guess what? I'm a ghost, so I can do anything times 2.
Times 2. Oh, Lordy. Help us all.
I know, help us, you know?
Don't give them any ideas. Give restrictions.
Yeah,
on your towards.
Warden Scott. Just saying.
Oh boy.
Put your foot down.
Okay, there's one picture that I want to show, and this one, Kathy, in honor of you, I want to bring up the Elmo picture.
Oh God. Okay.
Tell us about the Elmo picture, Scott.
Okay, Elmo. That's sort of what we nicknamed him. That picture was taken about 2000. It was a local lady that she was in her mid-70s, and she just, you know, she found out that you could roam around the building unguided. So she, you know, got a spot on a hunt and came. And she was telling me at the beginning of the night, you know what, all this ghost stuff, it's junk. You know, I don't believe any of this stuff. She was
skeptic.
up on the 3rd floor of Middle Administration, and she said she was walking down the hall. She walked out of the chapel. She was walking down the hall and just sort of got the feeling, you know what, I need to take a picture now. So she turned around, took the picture, caught that. That was on one of those, the cheap,
the disposable,
the disposable cameras. And she sent that to us, and she says, I don't know what it is. I don't want to know what it is. You can use this photo. Just don't tell anybody that it came from me.
Right.
Wow.
So, yeah.
That's a cool one. I thought that was interesting. It looks like he's wearing like those, what are those called, like knickerbockers or something?
I've heard that word in years.
I don't know what they are. What are they called? Knickers?
Knickers.
That's short for knickerbockers, right? And big shoes. That's like,
and it's like
1920-ish, right?
20-ish is right.
Do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe even earlier.
The interesting thing, the interesting thing about that shot is we get a ton of people experiencing stuff in that area. Not a lot of evidence has been got there, but I know that's one of the areas that I don't even like going through, especially in the middle of the night when I've got to lock the place up and I'm by myself. Yeah, I'll walk a little bit quicker through that area.
I have a rule. I always have a safety flashlight, just in case one goes out. It's a safety flashlight. I always have it.
I have no clue what that thing is, and you know what? Nobody's caught that scent, so I'm good.
Yeah. That's a cool one. Kim, what else do we have? Did we go through them all?
You're looking.
You got the, I don't, it just has a number on it.
This one just has a number.
What number is it?
I can't see.
S452135.
S452135.
What's it look like?
It's on screen now. Looks like it's in an office or...
In an office?
There's a pole in the picture.
A pole is in the picture.
A pew, maybe?
Maybe a pew. Was it in the chapel, maybe, Kim?
Let me look real quick. Is it something in a doorway?
I don't see a doorway. There's a little tiny, like, weird door.
He says there's a tiny weird door.
Unless it's really far away.
Okay. Go to that. Oh, it's the F45 2135.
S25, 2135, Cammy.
What that is?
S452145. 35.
Okay. I am going to assume that that is actually looking at the back of a chapel. And then there's a doorway in the middle of it.
Yeah, Kim agrees.
And there's a shadow standing in the doorway.
That's crazy. Did anybody pick up on that out
It looks
there?
like it's light. I mean, it could just be a flash, but
yeah.
It looks like
it's pretty far, but I bet if you zoomed in, you could see that pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty.
That doorway is pretty far away from the original picture.
Well, and the size of this place is like
massive.
Oh my gosh! I was taking pictures of like the cracks in the wall. Kim's like,
because those are fascinating. It's history.
I know. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, well, can't you see? Look, there's a crack there. And then downstairs, we were able to go downstairs under the living quarters, the warden's area, that main area, with Ron. And there was, looking up in the little thing, it's got everything cracked, and then there's the, what is that, the plaster board? What's that board called?
The plaster and mud?
Well, the plaster and mud had chipped off, and you could see, like, the little slats, like the old school slats.
Oh, the lap.
Yeah, that's it.
Lap.
Yeah. And I took a picture of that. I'm like, this is awesome.
Right.
I thought it was just cool. And Kim's like, what are you doing? And I really, really tried to get somebody to come out. I kind of wandered off, on my own. And I was sitting out there, and I'm like, hey, guys, I know you're here. Because I was hearing somebody.
Right.
I was hearing somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, guys, I'm going to count to 5. And I want you to jump out and show your shadow. I'm going to take a picture.
Did it work?
No.
You know what? That never works for us. That never ever does.
I really, we were at a day tour,
Right.
and we had limited time there because of our bus. So I was like really trying my hardest. I should have been like, I'll show you my boob. Kim's like, what?
Take one for the team.
I would have. If I would have thought about it then, I'd be like...
we've promised that we'll make you famous. And they still don't do what we ask them to do. We'll be like, you ever heard of Elvis?
Well, whatever it
come
takes.
out this next year in the neighborhood, I will see what I can get you into.
Good. That would be awesome because...
You just want to see your boobs. I can't blame you.
It was actually a deal with the ghosts there, inmates.
Right.
I'd be like,
well, they hadn't seen.
I'll tip
Scott, get the picture, get it first. I can see there's backing out of this already.
No, it'd be like, here, I'll tip you 20. Leave me in the shower for a minute. Show your shadows.
She'll end up talking me into bearing my butt and bending over for me. So.
I have a picture of that, and I don't want to see it again.
Whatever you do, you do what you got to do.
You do what you gotta do.
I am a die-hard investigator.
Well, and male prison inmates, you're like, da-na-na-na-na.
Seriously.
Right. I do it.
Has anybody ever done that? Just out of curiosity.
Yes, and it seems to work once in a while.
Oh, it's kind of like...
So, if they like it, they'll play.
Right. Well, Ohio, here we come.
Yeah, I know.
Button up t-shirts and all.
Grease up a pole.
On that note,
Kim, do we have any more pictures? No?
And we are 15 over. We're a little more than 15 over.
I kind of want to give, go for the record with like 6 hours.
Oh, well, I'm up.
I've had a monster. I'm good.
Poor Kim's gonna fall asleep. He needs to go to bed, I'm sure, but I'm up for it.
He's an investigator, a seasoned investigator. They don't sleep until at least 7 a.m.
Right.
I normally get home at about 6 or 6:30 in the morning, so I'm good.
Well, we're not going to do that to you, even though we'd like to. But
we can, but we won't.
But I seriously.
This is what happens when we get polite guests. We can just keep talking.
I know, and in the back they're going, "Please, God, no! Say goodbye."
Girl, shut up.
You know what I want to do? Okay, Scott, listen up. This is what I want to do. I want to get all of us, you guys, like your main team members, us guys, our main team members, people from Pennhurst, their main team members, people from Ohio prison, Idaho penitentiary, get some people from Alcatraz and like go on like a tour.
That'd be fun.
Of everybody's facility.
That'd be fun. I have 2 people that we have to bring with us.
Okay.
We'll have to bring.
Are they going to sponsor this event?
No.
Crap.
But we'll work something out. I want to bring Jiggy because I want to see how he works, and I want to bring Tamara for her impressions.
Oh lordy!
And then we can just all go and have a good time.
I think that would be just.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Seriously.
It'd be fun
because I mean it's so crazy talking to people that have similar locations,
right?
And that and it's just. Let's swap notes. I mean, seriously.
Well, that's how we grow as a paranormal community. We swap notes, and people who are there every day, day in and day out, as tiring as it can get at times, because it's not, sometimes you get new and exciting things, but sometimes you don't. It's important to have the research, because we can't gather information on 12 different random locations and then put them together as if they fit all into this box of circumstances. Well, it doesn't work.
Yeah, and we've tried to do that, I think.
We've tried.
As a whole, as a community. But there's things...
even on our own investigations, we've tried to relate.
Yeah. But there's things that, like, have happened at, say, Asylum, and I'm sure at other places, at our hospital, that are super contradictory to popular theory.
Right.
It's like, what? I don't know if you've ever experienced that, Scott, but it's like, okay, so if they're this... And this is the theory, but this happened?
Right. Well,
that doesn't make sense.
You've said time and time again how many times we think something is the way it is supposed to be. Theory tells us this because it was passed down to hunter to hunter to hunter. And our own experiences have said this. And then one day you get, pow! You get smacked right in the face. You're like, oh, crap.
Well, and I'm just
this.
So fascinated by all that because it really is just theory.
Exactly.
It really is just theory.
There's things that we know.
But then even still then you can know.
And then we get kicked in the face.
Hey, guess what? You don't know.
Right, and then surprise!
One thing I have noticed is I'm good friends with some folks that work at other large locations. And if there are nights where they're having a hunt and we're having a hunt, we'll pretty much compare notes to, how everything's going over there compared to here.
Right.
And it seems like when it's hopping at one of the locations, it's hopping other places. But it's like when it dies at that location, it dies at the other location.
Right. Do you have
it's really weird how that works.
Yeah, we need to break out the almanac or something like that.
Right. Now, here's my question is, do you have a certain time of night that things just kind of, they're really, woo, yay, and then all of a sudden they're like, meh.
Yeah, they just die off.
And then they come back a little bit later, trinkle in, but then they're just 11:30, done.
I will say that, you know what, ghosts do not have watches, so don't expect everything to happen between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m.
Right.
And you know what? I have had some of the best experiences I've ever had during the day.
Right.
Same here.
So,
yeah.
And it's it is. There have been nights where the activity has, been through the roof at 10 o'clock and then dies. And then at 5 o'clock in the morning, as everybody is walking out the door, the activity comes back up. I mean, it's pretty much when the boys want to play, the boys want to play.
Right.
I have not been able to find any correlation to, well, if this is happening, then, this is going to happen. The only thing that I have noticed is before the storm, when the barometric pressure is dropping, the activity goes up. During and after a storm, at least at the OSR, forget it. That you're not going to get a ton of stuff. I mean, the activity is going to be pretty consistent, but I mean, it's, you're not going to have, people's heads spinning around, puking out soup or anything.
Right.
Well, darn it.
Shucks.
That's a shame.
Well, I mean, I know we're over, and poor Kim's gonna like rip our heads off here in a minute. But do you notice like that your spirits, when they do the tour, they expect you to be there? They know what's coming up because the tours happen all the time.
And you probably have like a route that you go, right?
Do you notice that sometimes the spirits are anticipating it, the ones that are good? I mean, your spirits are quite a bit different than our hospital spirits, I'm sure. But do you feel that they know that you're coming and they're looking forward to the people that are visiting, or
at least just aware that you're coming?
Pretty much, I let them know, whenever there's going to be a hunt later on in the night. Because I'll go through and, I'll say, hey guys, you know what, we got a hunt tonight. Got another group of people coming in. Let's see what we can do to make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
But I have noticed that sometimes that sort of backfires.
Oh man,
we used to dance and sing and run through the halls and give pep talks.
Well, there's been times where I've just like he says, it's like one night you like invite them all out, and then it's like wild, crazy activity. The next time you do it, and nothing.
Exactly. Right. I think they get tired of just seeing people coming into their, essentially where they live, and it's like they need a vacation.
Yeah.
So it's like when I tell them, hey, you know what, we got another group coming in, they're like, ah, shit, all right, let's go hide. So.
Well, we've had some like specific spirits tell us that they are not our, what is it? They're
not their monkeys. They're not monkeys.
Like they're performing monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
It's like,
nice.
Ooh.
Nice.
Sorry.
Right.
Oh,
right,
I feel really bad now. That's not how we intended it.
Well, it's fun because you get those impressions of, I'm not your performing monkey, and then you hear an EVP of that later. You're like, oh, well, my gut feeling was right, but you have to for us, we have to reassure them that, hey, we're not here to make a spectacle out of you, and
we're here to make you
famous.
We're
here to make you famous. We tell them that we'll make you famous. We try and try to.
One thing, once in a while, I'll just remind the guys, hey, you know what? These people are coming from all over the world to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you were alive, did your family even come to talk to you?
Right.
We've got people that are dying to talk to you, and, make them happy.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it wasn't for these people coming into this building, you know what? You would probably be a distant memory.
Mm-hmm.
The only time anybody would, even have any interest in you is when they're doing their genealogy and they see that their great Uncle Frank did 7 years at the OSR. So,
right.
Yeah. And a lot of times when I do that, they're sort of like, yeah, all right, yeah, we'll come out and play tonight.
Well, right, they need something to do, too. I mean, do you ever, leave decks of cards out for them or something for them, like poker chips or anything like that to, boost their... I know it sounds funny, but to, boost their morale. I mean, they're in prison.
Lately we've been starting to leave newspapers out for them.
Oh.
Because I've asked before, I've asked them, hey, if there's anything I can do for you, if there's anything you want, just let me know. And I've gotten... several replies of newspapers, stuff like that.
Really?
So I mean, yeah. And so the sentient ones sort of want to know what's going on,
that makes a lot of sense.
That does.
What's going on the outside?
Right. Well, because if they're on the end, that's all they've known for how many years of their life, and then how many years of their past life. That's all they've known. They want to know what's going on in the outside world, and that makes absolute freaking sense. And that's just genius.
That's awesome. That is genius. That's awesome.
Pure genius.
I love it.
I do too. I think that's smart.
I love it.
I'm gonna start carrying around a newspaper on our hunts.
Oh yeah. Hey, guess what today's front page story is? Huh?
That's right.
What do you think of that?
That's right. And then just different days, open it.
I like that. That's really a good idea. We're gonna steal that from you and use it.
Right.
Just saying.
Oh, okay.
He's like, whatever.
Do it then. All right, Scott. We're gonna wrap things up here. Do you have any last things you want to say?
Right. How do the people get in contact with you? First of all, I would think to do a tour.
If they want to, if they're interested in doing an investigation or anything, just go to our website, which, I think it's www.mrps.org.
MRPS.
I also think we're under OhioStateReformatory.com. Don't quote me on that one. But if you want to book a hunt, or if you want more information about the building and the events that we have, go there. If you're interested in the paranormal side of it and want to know what's going on currently with the paranormal stuff, go on to Facebook, look up the Ohio State Reformatory Ghost Hunts. That's the page that I run, and then you can contact me through that page. So
you know what? I have one more question. I just can't let you go because it's like I have like all these things keep popping in my head.
Right.
I know for me it's been like really just a huge experience, like spiritual in so many different ways, and then just living experience and things like that, to be involved in something like this.
Right.
What is one of the bigger things that you're going to take away from this experience?
Like being at the prison?
Yeah, just being involved in that spiritual side, where you have all of that. And there's all different areas, I'm sure, but for the point of it being Worldwide Paranormal Network, as far as the ghost side.
My biggest thing that I want to take away from being at the prison is, everybody has that just little thing in the back of their head that says, is this really it? After I die, is it just nothing?
Mm-hmm.
The guys at the prison have proven to me that, yes, there is something after this. So, yeah, that's what I want to take away from being at the prison.
And that's a mighty fine thing to take, I think.
I've heard that a few times.
Right, because you never, people don't know. And it's actually really hard to watch people who are losing family members that they've died, and they don't know that there's anything. They just think it's just, that's it. It's harder for them. To watch them grieve is excruciating because they don't know that there is more.
Yeah.
It kills the heart.
My father passed away a few Septembers ago, and pretty much, I didn't have the reaction that I thought. I just, when he passed away, I pretty much looked at him and said, hey, you know what? See you in a couple days. Because I knew he was going to come back.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's a different way to look at it. You can't ever replace the tangibility of losing somebody, but just knowing that they're there, it makes a big difference. It doesn't stop the hurt as much, but it makes a difference.
Yeah.
That was a good question, Cami.
Yeah, I thought it was too.
What a good answer.
It was a good answer.
I liked it.
Okay, Scott, any final word? What was that?
I just made it up.
Well, we believe it. We believed you. Right. You are such a good actor. All right, so we're gonna get ready to sign off here before I think of another question to ask and
Kim
keep it for
freaks
longer.
Out. Poor Kim.
But do you have any final things that you want to say, just in general, that you didn't get to?
I like turtles.
That was profound.
I think I think we pretty much covered most of it. So yeah.
Awesome.
Well, good. Well, thank you so much for being on our show. I was so happy to talk to you. This has been, I think, the fastest interview we've ever had. Like, time had just gone whoosh.
It was effortless.
Right.
It was effortless. You didn't need any host coaching at all.
Right.
Yay!
A phenomenal guest, and I hope we can get you back on again.
Right.
Definitely keep in touch if anything pops up and you just want to stop in and say hi to our viewers one day.
Oh, yeah. We should have a free-for-all call-in one day.
Maybe what I can do is do the video thing at the prison sometime.
That would be awesome.
Say hey to you from the prison and see if anybody shows up behind me.
I'd like that.
That would be awesome. We had a gray once show up, so let's see if we have, spirits of any kind show up.
That would be really, really cool. I will email you as soon as we're off the show to book it.
That's awesome.
All right, Scott. Well, we'll let you
thank
get
you.
back to your evening, and if you have a ghost hunt, we'll let you get back there and
Right.
do your thing and all that fun stuff.
right.
Say hi to everybody out at the Reformatory, living and dead.
Go check that place out. It's way worth it. It's
Heck
awesome
yeah,
to see.
it is amazing. If you ever get a chance, in fact, I think you should put this on your bucket list. I am not kidding you. It is just amazing. Just being there. We didn't really have any ghost things happen,
Right,
except
well,
for that
you're
one
feeling-
time down underneath there. But just
Right.
being there was, there's no words.
That's awesome.
There's no words. It was seriously like a castle, and he's not kidding about that. It was like, look at all these big rocks.
Right, and we're place people. We
Yeah.
like awesome old buildings.
My first words, where's the gift store? I need to buy something from here because this place is awesome.
You gotta have it.
And we did.
And that's awesome. That's great.
That's my first
great.
stop. You got a gift store? I'm in it.
I'm in it. Will you send me some of
And
your
we
cellar
are
up?
501c3, so all the money that we get through all the events, ghost hunts, tours, gift shops goes right back into the building for restoration and preservation.
Good to know.
That
I
is
love to
awesome.
hear that. I love to hear that the restoration and preservation is key. Y'all know how we feel about people tearing down awesome old buildings. It's wrong. Don't do it.
Yep. John Tobin, we got your back, boy. Alrighty. So thank you so much, Scott. We will definitely keep in touch, and that would be really awesome. I'm going to hook you up on that offer.
All right, yeah, that'll work. Thanks for having me on, by the way. This was cool. This did go quick.
It did.
It
did.
Like,
And it is,
it'll be 11 o'clock, 11:30 your time. You're like, oh boy.
it's like past that,
It's
it's
past
like
that,
midnight for him almost.
Right.
Yeah, it's let me see, 12:05.
Yeah.
Oh, we are way over.
We're way over, like, it's just a bit, but you know what? It was totally worth it.
Totally worth it.
And then
Loved every minute of it.
We'll get you on, and we'll have that camera going in the Reformatory, and
that'd be fun.
And we'll see what we can do. Hopefully,
That's
we'll
it.
catch something awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just have to remember to have my pants on during that, but yeah.
Well,
it's okay. Nude, clothing is optional.
Right. We always tell our
It is a
guests.
prison.
Yeah.
Right, it is a prison. He didn't think about that.
Okay. I'm already getting ideas.
Oh man.
Ding, 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 ding.
Oh.
All right.
Okay, I'm even more excited. Okay, so like September, right? September.
That's great.
All right, Scott. Well, thanks again. It was totally our pleasure, and it's just an honor to have you on. And
thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having me.
All right, you have a good night.
Have a good night.
All right, you too.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
He's really fun.
I'm not even joking about that place. It was just awesome. I don't even
Pictures
care
are
if it's haunted or
amazing.
not. I would go there.
Well, we are awesome old place people.
It's just phenomenal.
I love
Phenomenal.
awesome places.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason we watch movies is because they have awesome houses.
Awesome big houses. So, Kathy,
Right.
who we got on next week?
Next week is the 6th, correct?
I believe so.
Blake Heitzman.
Blake Heitzman.
We have talked to him previously on when we did radio.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a story of Men in Black, which we have all heard of different stories of Men in Black, but this one has video proof from a hotel. I believe we actually mentioned the story here. He's also...
I can't believe he knows Will Smith.
I know, right? Also, he is writing a blog. His new book came out, and I'll have to send you the link and the password to it because we can get into it. We're going to talk about his blog, his book, alien encounters and theories and dimensions, and he is one of those deep thinkers that totally relate with Cammie on the dimension things. I understand it. I follow it. I dig it. I just can't go there. I need a nudge to go there.
I have an imagination.
Right.
To
My
rival
imagination's
anybody.
different.
Anybody.
So, right.
But but it also kind of comes into reality too, because you can't just be like, oh, I think such and such and this and that and the other, just off a whim. There has to
Right.
be some kind of solid foundation to build from.
Right.
So I'm not like a crazy.
No. Nobody ever said you were. But no, we have Blake Heitzman on next week, and he's a really good guy. He's really funny and just really kind of calm and mellow, and he's fun. I like him.
Yeah, he is definitely interesting.
He has thoughts that make us go,
Well, it's just I love those kind of thinkers because
Right.
those kind of thinkers are the ones that take us that one step further.
Exactly.
Or two steps, whichever.
Or 2 steps,
you know.
or yeah. Then they just make you think on a different level, which is something everybody needs to do.
Yeah,
is
outside
think
the normal
outside
box.
The normal box. So yeah, Blake's gonna be fun. He's gonna be on.
And it's gonna be awesome.
It's
Can't
gonna
wait.
be on August is like Alien Month.
Alien Month. It's like Alien Summer. I need some sleep.
You just had a rock star.
Well, it was a monster, but I think my song rocked. It was awesome.
I like it.
I should write lyrics.
I told you that years ago.
Cammy the composer.
Mm-hmm.
Add it to my resume.
Blake and Stick.
All right, you guys, we're
All
going
right.
to end it. If anybody's still out there watching, because I know we went over, sorry. Hopefully it's been fun. Just, join us next week.
Right.
We're going to love it. It's going to be an
gonna be
awesome,
fun.
awesome,
I like
awesome
Blake.
conversation.
Deep thinking. Get your thinking caps on.
Yep, get your thinking caps on. Start thinking outside the box. You can add things in chat. All the fun stuff.
Right. Then we'll have a lot of questions. I
Right.
think
So we're going to sign
All right.
out. And with that, we're going to say, remember,
we are
not alone.